Thursday night, it's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We, of course, are going to be talking sports betting. We usually focus on rugby matches on this show, but while we will touch on the Mitre 10 Cup, I know Gerard and Hendrik will have some bets for us, I'm sure. We are mainly going to focus on the Rugby World Cup because that, of course, starts tomorrow a week, and there are plenty of long-term bets. And we'll talk about what we've done now as far as the guys goes. They're going to run us through some virtual bets that I've asked them to make, and we'll see what they fancy for the World Cup. But we'll start off by introducing the panel. We are waiting for one of them still to join us, and that is Hendrik Swart. I hope I sent him the link. It was a bit of a frantic rush, everything before and after the GG Gaming Show. But let me start off with the guy who was first into the back end of the studio, Gavin Cohen, Oracle Rugby. Oracle, good to see you there, man.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brent. I see my internet was a bit delayed with the GG Gaming. My answers were, although they were no idea, they were still quite late in the call. So I need to make sure I got a better internet connection for next week. Yeah, but thanks very much. It's going to be a good show tonight. I've got a few bets. I haven't quite researched the prices, but I know what I want to back, and I'm going to be backing it next week. And I'll also give an explanation why I haven't taken my bets already at this point.
Excellent. And I've just remembered that Hendrik said he wasn't coming on the show tonight. So top class for me here. I'm wondering why he hasn't come in, but he actually did announce that he wasn't coming in. And I hope I haven't left anyone else off the show who's sitting there desperately in front of their computer waiting for a link. But good to have Oracle on the show. Let's pop down and say hi to Couch Critic. Couch has had a big weekend betting on the Volta. It's been a tough tournament to call. And I'm sure you can't wait, Couch, for the Rugby World Cup to get going.
Yes, Gerard, that ook was really strong, eh? Jeez, what a shocker. Listen, obviously I can't wait for the Rugby World Cup because the cycling has been absolutely shocking. So, I'm ready to go. Actually, as I said, I forgot I wanted to wear my Springbok jersey. So don't worry, I'll do it next week or on Monday or something.
Excellent. Yeah, Nico telling me to have another beer. Normally a brandy, sorry. Normally it's Hendrik sitting having the brandy. But welcome to all the guys on the live chat. Cerebral Assassin, they say, nice to see the Oracle is back. I must say a lot of guys have been asking for Oracle over the weeks. And then contrary to what I've been saying the last couple of weeks he's been on the show, he's not a sprinter in cycling Groeneweg, and it's Gerard Groenewald. Gerard, welcome back. So good to have you on. And first of all, from our side, your mate Nico pointed it out. Apologies, man. I'm saying to my cycling, I started mixing you up.
I'll take a couple of wins there, like Groeneweg. So, no worries, Brent. And sorry, Couch. Sorry for pointing that out. But in that moment, it was pretty funny. Strong, eh? Yes. So close.
Guys, I reckon the focus of tonight's show is really going to be on the long-term markets. And maybe what I'll ask you guys for first up, and Gerard, let's start with you. Give us a feel for your strategy in this Rugby World Cup. Are you planning on taking a lot of long-term bets? Are you more focusing on the matches? What is your position? Because quite often I've sort of taken the view is if I have some real long-term bets riding, it can actually save me, from getting too involved in the matches. For example, if you backed England to win the Rugby World Cup, then you're perhaps not that worried about backing them on the handicap against France. You'll just watch the game and hope they win it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Brent, it's very difficult with the weather situation. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. Is there a typhoon? Is there no typhoon? Is the pitch going to hold? Is it going to be slippery? Yeah, the start's going to be like that. When is it going to turn? Is it going to turn a month into the tournament? Well, 3/4 into the month tournament, or so it's very difficult to really be confident in your picks, especially total points prior to it, especially if it's very close to what you think it's going to be. So I have a couple of try scorers and a couple of point scorers for the tournament that I like. Also, obviously, one or two teams. But I would say if I have to percentage-wise put my bets, give my percentage-wise bets to you, it will be more or less 20% long-term, and then game by game will be the rest of the 80.
Right, and Couch, let's go to you there. Your strategy, I know you like your long-term bets, but I also know you like your let's call them sometimes value prices, but otherwise just your larger prices. So you go for your ones that you can see giving you a nice interest over the tournament. How much involvement are you going to have in those long-term markets?
Yes, Brent, exactly. I don't like to tie up like even money for 2 months or something like that. To me, I like to go for something at a bigger price. And the nice thing that I like about rugby. Firstly, in the World Cup, you get these exotic type of markets that you don't get for the other tournaments and once-off test matches and that kind of thing. So it's just the variety, you know, same as Cricket World Cup, the variety that you get in the big events is great. And then what's almost better than a cricket bet, which often happens to me, is I almost end up, you know, not backing each game because I've got a long-term interest. But if you're taking a point scorer or a try scorer, it's not really like you can cover it during the time or cover it before a match or back anything else in a match. So you still got your normal match interest. It doesn't, you know, almost interfere with any of that except for maybe a guy winning a specific team winning a match. So it's nice. I don't feel like it interferes with my other punting. So I'm pretty big in the outright. I must say I like looking at getting some of the bonuses that some of the bookies offer, and then using those bonuses on the long term. And then I do my usual handicap punting with my normal stake. So this is the time that I use all those bonuses. And yes, I love it. And obviously, as Farah said, prize scorers. I mean, I love it in a normal game. So obviously for a whole tournament, it's like I'm a kid in a candy shop at the moment.
Yeah, I must admit I do enjoy my long terms as well. I'm normally a lot more involved by this time than I am this year, and that's really just down to the cost of living, if I can put it that way. I just haven't been able to tie up that much money at the moment. Fortunately, I had a good weekend, so carry some of that into the World Cup with me. Gavin, interested in your opinion. I know you're not the biggest long-term punter, but also just want you to comment on spread betting. You and I had a very quick chat earlier today. We're saying how disappointing it is that there's really no local spread betting offers to talk about anymore. And you know, the overseas companies like Sporting Index and that have got their total points markets out, their total tries markets, shirt numbers. We've got nothing like that locally at this stage. It's a big disappointment, isn't it?
Absolutely, Brent. You will remember back in the late 90s, I'm going to talk about 97, 98. So I was born in 71, so I was sort of 27, 28. So that was 20 years ago. So anybody who was 8 years old today, 28 today, was 8 years old at the time. They got no idea. At the time, I know that, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you were on the show. Superbet used to be on Saturday mornings. They used to come up with their three or four spreads for the game. It was fantastic. It opened our eyes to sports betting. First sports betting we were allowed to do in South Africa was at the Tote before the bookmakers. And I remember taking a bet on the 4th of June, 1995. It was my father's birthday. It was the day that New Zealand won 145-17 against Japan. I'd taken a massive punt at the time of 100 Rand that New Zealand would win by more than 25. I got 100 Rand and I think 101 Rand back. So I got 1 to 100 that they'd win by more than 25 on the Tote. It was ridiculous. I wasn't able to take a handicap. I hated it. But then somebody said to me, Oak, if you'd taken a spread bet, I think the spread at the time was 79 to 83 or whatever, I would have won another $60 times my 1 Rand. So, yeah, spread betting's fantastic. Spread betting is definitely priced against the guys that buy, so the guys that go over. Anybody goes high on anything, buying, overs, whatever terminology you want to use. Most people go high, so if you're clever, you've got to find the spreads that are lower, that are a little bit of value and go under. Under's a bit of a sweat. You will sweat the entire game or the entire tournament, depending on what you take. But yeah, most companies in South Africa don't do it. I worked for Marshall's for a bit of time. We did some spread betting. I worked for Atlantic Sportsbet. We did that for a bit of time. In fact, we got to work with some of the guys from Sporting Index at the time. It was in the late 90s. They've gone back to England. In fact, they're probably not even involved in the company anymore. But it is a great thing, and it is a pity that they're not around anymore. To comment on your question about long-term bets, I'm not a long-term punter per se. I'm not a long-term punter either. I do take the odd long-term bet, but I always remember being involved in finance years ago. Somebody said to me, "What's a long-term punt for you?" And I said, "It's a 5-day cricket match or a 4-day golf tournament." That was long-term. Medium term was a bet that was going to be resulted tomorrow, and short term was the next few hours. You know, that's how you get with sports betting. You know, long term is a few days. So something that's going to be 6 weeks long is massive. I mean, you're putting money down, you get zero interest on it. You're hoping it's going to win. You're hoping you're right with your pick, and you can't say, "Well, let me borrow some of that money to put on a game today." They don't let you. You've got to come up with new money. So long-term bets are difficult, but in a competition like this, a Rugby World Cup, I am interested. A couple of long-term bets that caught my eye. But the other problem is that I'm not an early punter. I know Henrik is an early punter, and there are some guys that see that value and they put in the time and they look for it. But for me, in my mind, I'm knowing that the punters, the monk punters, are pushing prices out away. And traditionally, I go against the book. So I go against what the guys are punting. And if too much money goes onto one team and the price goes too short, the other teams naturally go higher. And I start to look at those teams. So I wait for the punters to go, oh, I like New Zealand in this tournament. Let's push them down to 7 or 10. And what happens when New Zealand goes 7 or 10? Everybody else goes bigger. That's when my eyes open. And that's when I take my long-term bets. So my long-term bets tend to be short-term bets compared to the guys that took long-term bets months ago. And, yeah, that's how I play.
Try and say that after a few brandies. I can tell you your battle. I see the boys in the live chat discussing how many jobs you've had. Sean Nicholas calling you oracle of all jobs. Nothing long-term about your jobs by the sounds of things there. But yeah, to your point, so I enjoy the long-terms. I'll certainly be looking for a bit of value. We'll go through some of our long-terms. I was hoping to share the screen, but I can share the screen and you'll be able to see Couch's bets. But for some reason, it's a bit of a manual labor to move the thing around. So we'll probably just discuss our long terms. But let's start with the outright markets. And Gerard, let me start with you. We've got New Zealand, and I'm just looking at the world sports betting here. We've got New Zealand 14-10. We've got South Africa 9-2, England 9-2, Ireland and Wales at 10s, Australia 15, France it's at 33. They've been clipped in a couple of points, not my money, I can assure you, from 35s to 33. And sort of 66-1 and better the balance. So let's start off in the outright market. Are you getting involved in the outright markets up front?
Brent, firstly, I wouldn't touch that New Zealand. That's just too short to tie up your money. I'm not going to touch it, that's for sure. That's way too short. I would rather take any other bet at this stage. I obviously do like, the more I think about it, the more I really like South Africa's preparation for this tournament. To be honest, 3-4 weeks ago, I didn't even think we really stood a chance to even beat. Let's say we lose against New Zealand in the first game and play Ireland. I didn't even think we're going to progress from there. But just to see the amount of effort and planning that went into this tournament and being there early, getting used to the conditions in Japan, and the mindset of the guys seem very relaxed. And when rugby players are relaxed, any sport player is relaxed. They can actually perform, even with the amount of pressure that a Springbok rugby team carries, no matter what team is playing or what competition you're in. So the more I see the team and the more I see them in the media, the more I like South Africa to win. And at 4.5, I think that you can get now. I don't know if there's a bigger price. 4.5. I really like South Africa, and I also do like England as well. I would rather take those two than to touch New Zealand on an outright.
Excellent. Just a quick question before we move on. Nico's asked a couple of times in the comments. It's obviously bothering him. Who signed your bats behind you there? Which
No, unfortunately, no one. That was mine in my playing days. Well, I still play cricket, but
was that your nursery school days? Because they look pretty small, those bats.
Geez, it was like primary school and then like standard 6 and standard 7. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not any more red cherries on them. Missed a couple, but yeah, wife thought it's gonna look good on the wall, eh? Well, look better on the wall than in my hand. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it does. Couch, let's move on to you as far as the outrights go. To win the tournament, you're getting involved early. You're waiting and running. What are you gonna do?
Brent, I just want to say, if I had to put up every bet that I made 100 with, then I still wouldn't have any bets on my wall. I've definitely, I've still got my interest in England, but I must say I was almost, just doggedly determined to not take the box and thinking that we're all getting too patriotic, and I was shooting everyone down who thinks we've got a chance, and it's like I've missed the boat. I keep looking at this, and I think it was Yellow Cap who said that actually losing against New Zealand isn't the worst thing in the world, and it's exactly as Gerard said. Playing Ireland in the quarterfinals and either France or Wales in the semi-final, to me that just looks like we're in the final. I almost think just lose that All Black game. Obviously they won't do it on purpose, but lose the All Black game, and I don't see us losing against Ireland, and probably Wales could probably win an arm wrestle, but I think we'd beat them 7 times out of 10. So I mean, the box to me should be in the final, but it's almost one of those cases where I feel like I've missed the price and I'm stuck. It's 9-2. Is there still value in that? I'm a little bit in between, so I'm almost starting to look at finalists. To me, I'm starting to scratch around for, can't I get a little bit more value by trying to let's name the finalists. So at this stage, I've had a little nibble on South Africa and England, and to me that means England have to beat New Zealand in the semi, which is very tough. But to escalate the price to 14-1 for New Zealand, for England and South Africa in the final, to me, that's like a little bit of value there, which I like.
Well, we're thinking along similar lines. I'm not going to say the same because we got same strategy, different teams. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But that's fair enough. Before I bring Gavin in here, let me share my outright bet. I like, and Johan Loebscher in the live chat is saying he reckons England are going to win this tournament. And I'm 100% with you, Johan. I think England's preparations have gone perfectly. I think they've got the perfect combination. I think we're in for some incredibly tight games. But for me, England at 9-2, I haven't decided at what sort of level I'll be getting involved, but I will be backing them at 9-2. But let's see if Oracle's got a long-term fancy to win the tournament.
Listen, Brent, I'm with Gerard here. I disagree with Han. I disagree with you. I think England have got no chance. I think they'll be lucky to get to the semi-finals. I'm all over South Africa. I think it's this fantastic price. South Africa were 10-1 at the start of the Cricket World Cup. I remember the likes of GG Gaming offering 100-1 the double. And I even got involved with Henrik. He didn't want to take my money. I'm going to have to buy him a beer when I see him. But honestly, South Africa at 10-1 at the time, we looked at it, we laughed, all of us laughed. In fact, I'd like to say there's not a single viewer tonight that's watching the show that didn't think South Africa, that all thought South Africa had no chance at the start of the Cricket World Cup in this Rugby World Cup. We were rubbish. We go to New Zealand, we draw, we absolutely smash Australia. We beat Argentina away. Now, that handicap, I think, was 6. We absolutely destroyed it. As far as I'm concerned, Rassie Erasmus is no mug. The guys that are old enough, and I'm going to say old enough, I'm 48, but I'd like to say if you're older than 35, you'll remember Rassie sitting on the top of the stadium, Curry Cup 2005, and SuperSport even said to him, Ike, what are you doing at the top of the stadium? He's no mug, this guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's gone a week early. He's the earliest team at the World Cup present right now. He's gone to some dodgy venue in the south that's sitting at 39 degrees or whatever. He's preparing the players. He is not a mug. Remember the words, no mug, N-O-M-U-G. Rassie Erasmus is clever. He is no mug. If he's gone there, he knows what he's doing. I'm telling you, never mind we wouldn't have taken the 10-1. After they drew with New Zealand, they were 6-1. They were 4-1 to win the Group B, and they were 4-1 to beat New Zealand in the Group B game, the opening game on the 21st. I got involved. Unfortunately, most of my money was doubled with the Lions, so I've lost that. I got a little bit of Group B money, but it's not as much as I would have had the Lions won. I got to tell you, the value here definitely is South Africa to win Group B, and South Africa to win this tournament. You might think that this 9-2 or 5-1, as Gerard said, you might be able to get. We all saw Gary in the last show. Bring your money, 50-10. He wants to speak big. Let him come. Bring your money, and let's see if he honors the bets. I'm not going 50-10. I don't have 10 lying around right now. But if I did, I would certainly put it on South Africa. I got to tell you one more thing, though. Yeah. I looked at the maths. Now, I'm very good with maths. I understand combinations, permutations, all of that stuff. I'm a fucking pro at maths. Sorry for swearing. I do apologize. But I'm so excited and passionate right now. South Africa and New Zealand, for me, are the only possible finalists here. I understand that that Han has seen a little bit of value in the 14-1 about England. I got to tell you, Han, I don't see them getting to the final. I'm all about South Africa and New Zealand. I've plotted this whole thing out. I cannot see any other team getting to the final. You can get as much as 7-2. Now, I believe that price even might get even bigger because the likes of Han are punting other combinations to get to the final. So 7-2 might even turn out to be 4-1 next week. Then I'm definitely interested. I can't see any other team getting to the final other than South Africa and New Zealand. 7-2 is a massive price for the double. You can even get the straight forecast. I saw some companies offering New Zealand first, South Africa second, South Africa first, New Zealand second. I'll wait until next week till I get myself a nice 7 or 8-1 about South Africa winning and New Zealand coming second. But South Africa will beat them next week on Saturday, and South Africa will win this tournament. This is the tournament for South Africa. We go by the numbers. We all saw Pakistan lose those games in the Cricket World Cup, and the guys were talking about how they did it in 1992, and it's the same kind of thing. Well, South Africa wins every 12 years. They won in 1995. They won in 2007. It's 12 years. 2019, 2019, South Africa will win this tournament. This is the team. Has anyone heard anything about quotas in the last 2 or 3 months? No. Why? Because everybody's happy with this team. Everybody likes the captain. Everybody likes the picks. Everybody likes Rassie. We are all good to go. I promise you, we will see Bok Friday, green shirts everywhere in the company, everywhere when you go out for coffee or dinner, or unemployed oaks are going for breakfast at McDonald's, they'll see the green. Every Friday, I promise you, this team will win this World Cup. South Africa will win, and if you want a bit of a side bet, you take South Africa and New Zealand in the final.
Okay, Gavin, thanks for that one. I think we know where you're going there. Listen, the only thing I wanted to say to what I'm doubting a little bit, and to Brent on England, and someone mentioned it on social, I think, or in one of the forums that I'm on, is that England play their 2 easy games first, so they've actually got like their last 2 games. It's going to be the Argentina, France, and then straight into quarter, semi. So basically, to win the World Cup, they've got to win five big games, against tier 1 nations in 5 weeks. So that is a big ask in, as you rightly said, tough conditions, and it is tough. But then again, I also think the one reason that Rassie took them to the sweatshop there is just to get the 2 Frances, France Steyn and France Malherbe, down at about 5K. So I think that was the main reason for the extra month in Japan. Listen, guys, on to try scorers here. Gerald, I'm gonna start you off with or do you want to start with point scorers or try scorers? It's up to you. Someone you fancy and why you've gone maybe for that specific team first, and then for the guy.
Okay, nice. Thanks, Ryan. I firstly, I do agree with Gav about the everyone being very passionate about the box, and I'm looking forward to this tournament to start. I can't wait. This next week must just fly, please. But kicking off the try scorers, and you mentioned it on Monday in the Use It or Lose It show. The more I look at the Australian, I know the Australian team is useless, but they do have a very poor group. Their group is very poor. They should be able to get out of their group. Even though Fiji has improved immensely over the last couple of months and a year and a half, unfortunately, I don't think they are totally there yet. But saying that, going back to the point I wanted to make, Mariko Corabetti looks for top try scorer for Australia, and I do like him in top 4 try scorer for the tournament. Looks, just because of the fact that the price is that big, it looks very attractive. Because your other main try scorers just looks it looks so close. Is that it will depend on team selections. If they're going to rest players, New Zealand will rest both their wings in one game, and they will have 2 better wings playing the next game. With Australia, you only have 15 players. So the chances for Mariko Corabetti playing at least all the group stage games, it should be a little higher than the rest of the guys in the pools. So I do like
What is the price for top 4 there for Corabetti?
Corabetti was 8.5 for 1-4 on Sunbet. So 8.5 on 1-4. That is quite big. I think that's something that you can really get into. Then obviously you have to have a New Zealand player as one of your top try scorers. We play in a very poor pool, if I can call it that. Sorry for poor Yellow Cap and his Namibian team, but there's going to be a lot of tries if you play Italy, Canada, and Namibia in a pool. So New Zealand, either one of the wings will be in the top 4. That's for sure. You just have to make up your mind. Firstly, make up your mind. In my opinion, Rico Ione should not have gone to the World Cup. Great winger, but the last 2 years he's been out of sorts. Should not have made that. Just stay at home. Take Braden Ennor. So I really like George Breach. I like his price, and I hope he starts against the weaker teams, if I can call it that. And he also has a pretty good price. Yes, I can't remember now for the life of me what it was. I think it was about top try scorer was something about like 14 or something, or 11 I think to 1. So that's a good price for me to back, but obviously just a medium bet, not a full on confidence. And yeah, the point scorers, I think we'll get to that now.
Excellent. Well, guys, as you can see, I disappeared. Thanks for that. My usual disruption, but fortunately back on the 3G now. Enjoying the top try scorer chat. I mean, I think it was Southpaw who first posted on the Good for the Game forum. He said Reese top 4. That same market you're talking about for Corabetti, Gerard. Reese top 4 at 5-2. In his words, he was saying, I think he said put and take. And of course, we know in betting things are really that simple. But the more I think about that, the more I think that is an excellent bet. There always could be someone who pops out to beat him, but he's got to be a big runner. And I suppose you could, if you like him at 5-2, I'm not too sure what price Bridge is, for example, in that same market. But there's certainly, Couch, got to be some big opportunities there. Where are you leaning in these markets?
Brent, I'll just quickly touch on something and then maybe give Oracle a chance, and then I'll finish off again. It's just, to me, it was first trying to see about the teams, and that's like, as Farad said, the big thing about Australia is their games are spaced, so there's no reason for them to play a B team. So that's the big thing. Like, regardless of whether he says you've got a top 15 and a backup 15, if you play on Friday and you play on Saturday and you play on Wednesday again, then it means a total overall you're going to play a completely different team, because they won't let guys play 2 games in 4 days. It'll be too bad on the guys, and that's one case that New Zealand have that I'll look at now. But Australia is pretty much every weekend, so they can play the same team if they really wanted to. They do have Dane Petty who's gonna come in there probably on one of the wings, but hopefully not Corabett's one. So I'm still with him. And again, as with the box group, that pool D, you've got to think that you can still score quite a few tries against Fiji, and then you've still got Uruguay and Georgia. So even if you play 2 of those games, you should be notching up some, and Corabetti is a first choicer, so you're still going to play the strong pool game and maybe a quarterfinal. So that is a decent play, and that's why I like it. And I've actually gone and gotten a boost on that one with Bet Olymps. So I've got 6-1 on that one. So that's really one of my big plays is Corabetti, and then obviously New Zealand. I love in that pool, the same as one of the box, obviously, but I mean, just having Italy as your tougher, third team, and then Canada and Namibia, New Zealand's still going to put 50 past Italy as well. So it's going to be 3 games there that it's really going to be chalk up points, chalk up prize there for those guys. And again, they've got a tight turnaround there. So the same guys won't play against Italy, Canada, and Namibia. But the nice thing about it is a short turnaround that they will play their best team against either Namibia or Canada, and then against Italy. So still, again, Sivo Reese is going to get 2 easy games, and then all the proper games. So the only thing I'm hoping is that they don't say, listen, let's give Rico Ioane quite a lot of game time and try and play him into form. So that's our only concern there. But otherwise, Sivo Reese, yes, that's great. And I think the top price at the moment in the market is 10-1. So I mean, that's pretty tasty. I don't know if you're going to go to Gavin for something. I don't know if he's got any try scorers lined up.
Oracle, have you got anything else on try scorers or any other markets you want to lean us towards at this stage? Just to mention the guys, we do have Hendricks bets and Sean bets as well. I've given all the guys who come on the show a virtual 10,000 Rand to bet on the long-term markets. And we'll just see, just for a bit of fun, who can come out with the most. If you want to add your 10,000, don't do it in the live comments, do it in the comments below the YouTube show, so we can go back afterwards and have a look at how the guys do. But Oracle, what do you have for us in these markets?
First, before I tell you that, I just want to talk about Gerard's bats. It reminds me of that Oscar Pistorius and his cricket bat. And Herschel Gibbs noticed there was his signature on the bat when it was on social media a few days later. I'm very worried about your bats, Gerard. I don't know where they've been, but anyway, right. Let's talk about this. I'm not a top try scorer punter, but I got to tell you, from a mathematical point of view, is South Africa and New Zealand have the best group to get the best points. So if you're looking at top try scorers for this tournament and you think there's a bit of value, you've got to do your homework as the guys have mentioned. Some guys will get left out of each game. And obviously Rassie and Hansen won't play their best teams against specific countries. Now, South Africa and New Zealand have got the absolute best group. There's I don't care what anybody tells you, it's a 100% chance of South Africa going through and 100% chance of New Zealand. Canada, Namibia, and Italy will not even get close to going to the quarterfinals. Don't let anybody tell you that. In fact, Italy are not even certainties to beat Canada and Namibia at this point, in my opinion. So the other groups, you look at the Australian group where they got Uruguay and Georgia. Georgia are not rubbish, and Uruguay, although they are rubbish, they're not as bad as Namibia, Canada, and Italy put together. South Africa and New Zealand will get to the quarterfinals with the most points scored out of any team in this competition. So if you're looking for top try scorers, it's all about the group stage. Look at New Zealand, look at South Africa. Don't look at the other teams. You're wasting your time. There's absolutely no value. Moving on to what the guy said about the wingers. I saw earlier on one of my, I think it was a WhatsApp group, I saw the guys talking about the wingers. When the teams are playing weaker countries, so South Africa, Namibia, or New Zealand against Canada, that kind of thing, these can be massive scores. They can be 70-0, 80-0, 90-0. I just want to point out one other thing from also a mathematical point of view. The days of countries getting more than 100 in rugby games are almost gone. The level of international rugby has lifted so much that the 116s to 5s or 6s and 145 17s, they don't happen anymore. So be very careful when you get involved in games with massive points, and the guys are offering you spreads of 90 and 95 and 100 or handicaps or point unders and overs. Be very careful with that because it's very unlikely that it's going to go that big. The other thing that you've got to take into account here is that the point scoring system is different to what we are used to in Super Rugby. Super Rugby and French Rugby, for that matter, you score 3 more tries than your opposition, you get a bonus point. In this case, you get 4 bonus point. So you've got to picture South Africa sitting at 60-0 against Namibia or New Zealand, for that matter. They're going to start pulling off their best players, giving the guys a bit of a run from the bench. And yes, 80-0 is a runner, but 100-0 is not really a runner. Although it can get there, it's more unlikely than it used to be. That's all I can say. So be careful with going overs and thinking these massive scores are going to arrive. They just aren't. In fact, I used to have people would say to me, the handicap's 83 points, whoever was playing. I'd say to them, it doesn't matter who's playing who. Take the plus. I'm going to revise that and say my line used to be 80. For this World Cup, I'm moving it down to 65. So I've revised my view on what a massive plus is from 80 to 65. I don't care who plays anybody, whoever plays whoever. If you're giving me plus 65 on any of these teams, I'm going plus. I don't care who's playing. I'm going plus.
Gavin, I think you make some good points here. I think the other point to me is a lot of the, let's say, lesser teams have become quite adept at keeping the ball and going nowhere. So, for example, they're actually not going out there to win the game, let's face it, but they can hold the game for periods of time. They can collapse scrums. They can play for time. And there's that type of things. I fully agree with you. I mean, I'm well documented at saying I think this is going to be a very low-scoring World Cup. It's not to say, like what you say, we're not going to get the odd 60 or 70 points put past Namibia. And I hope the yellowcap.com is not watching this because he gets quite offended the other night on the show when I had a go at Namibia. But that's the reality. I'm like you. I'll be very surprised if we see a triple figure racked up at this tournament. And we haven't really even touched on things like weather conditions with the humidity and that set to play a bit of havoc as well. Unfortunately, we don't have any total points markets to talk about now. It would have been nice to have a total points quote, but I can assure you there will be quotes out by next week. We do have the spread firms that have come out. And if I remember correctly, they're somewhere around 2,600 points or something like that. And going to be very interesting.
So 54 a game.
Yeah, average at 53 point something a game. And look, yes, you're going to get a few of those ones in the early stages that are going to be pretty high. But I think by the time we get to the quarters, we're going to get games averaging 32 to 35 points a game. We're going to get some really, really, really tight ones. Guys, anything more on the try scorers? Anything maybe on the point scorers couch? I know you said you wanted to add something perhaps there.
Yeah, just 2 more little flutters. They aren't as positive or as confident as Reese and Korobeti, but on the team try scorer there, obviously everyone will be disappointed if I don't sneak one hooker in there. So if I look at this, the hooker that's standing out to me is Julian Montoya. I'm hoping that he's going to be involved in every game. Argentina do have three hookers in their squad, which doesn't mean he's an automatic player, but he'll probably play in the weaker games instead of Creevy, and hopefully be on the bench in the other one or two. And he does like a try, and I think I've got about 18-1 at Bet Olymp there on a special for him. So that's worth a $500 to tuck at that one. And then the other one that's just a little bit interesting is Anthony Watson. I can get 10-1 on Anthony Watson as the top try scorer for England. Now, he's not the starting winger, but he does cover fullback and wing. So I'm thinking he might be on the bench for most important games, and he'll obviously get a start in the easy games. And again, with the draw, England are playing the 2 easy games first, and Jack Noel isn't available. He's still nursing an injury. So there's only 3 wingers in the squad for those first 2 easy games. And as I said, Watson can still cover fullback as well. So I'm hoping he starts for both the easy games, and then hopefully a bench in one of the other games. And that makes him a very decent runner at 10-1. So that's just a little bit of a value play, if you can call it that, on a try score market. So those are the 2. And then, hopefully we can all start talking about point scorers after this.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, Couch, why don't we run through your bets? I'm going to bring it up. I'm probably not going to share everyone's, but I can share your screen here. Why don't you run us through your bets? What happened there? Sorry, I took it off the... Can you see the screen there? Why don't you run us through your long-term bets? This is your virtual 10,000 that we gave you to invest.
Yeah, obviously I wanted to talk about all of this. Some guy once said, if you've got like R1 million, put it in unit trust. If you've got 100,000 rand, put it on something a little bit more speculative. Oh, geez, I can't even remember what the saying was. But if you got 10,000 rand, just give it to me and I'll put it on a horse. So I'd probably put it on one bet, the actual 10,000. But for the interest of having different markets and showing different markets, I went for a little bit more variety. Yeah. I've talked about Corbett, Sivu Rees, then onto the points. Okay, maybe let's finish the rest. We've talked about the finalists, 14-1, and the England try score. Then to finish for France, that's just the way I've looked at the permutations and the way I see it going. If there's anything that's going to happen, it's going to be France slipping into the semis as a semi upset. But if they do make it into that semi-final, they're going to lose it, and they're going to play the 3rd, 4th playoff, and France, when they've got nothing to play, on great shake. So I think 4th is a decent shout there at 7-1. And then I've talked about Julian Montoya. So the only one left, and that's where I'm picking back up, where Oracle said to me it's New Zealand and South Africa in the pool that you're going to get the most points. New Zealand only have 2 fly-off options in Beauden Barrett and Richie Mo'unga. So I'm thinking Richie Mo'unga starts the easy games and he's on the bench for all the other games. In any case, maybe one he'll just be left alone and they'll maybe play someone else. But Richie Mo'unga is going to be involved, and I'm hoping in the latter stages of the tournament he even takes over the kicking duties from Beauden Barrett. So to me, 10-1, that's another good play.
Excellent. I'm going to ask Gerard to run through his in a minute, but first let me just read to you Rugger Bugger's tips. So this is at Sean Nicholas on Twitter. He's going 2,000 Rand Ireland to score over 3 tries in every pool match, and that's at 7-2 at Bet Exchange. Guys, just to mention, what I will do is I'll put all of these in the comments column below. So if you want to come back afterwards and have a look, I will cut and paste them into the comments column so you can see where everyone's 10,000 is going. 2,000 Rand, any player to score over 9 tries, 8-1 at Bet Exchange. I must say I like that one quite a lot because I do fancy, like we said, there's going to be a few 3 or 4 tries in games for guys early in the competition. South Africa to top Pool B at 2-1 at Bet Exchange, 4,000 Rand. So that's a big interest there for Rugger Bugger. He obviously fancies them first game up against New Zealand. He's gone 1,000 South Africa to remain unbeaten at 20-1 at Bet Exchange, and he's gone 1,000 on the Pimpy top try scorer. And he did give me the price. I've got a feeling it was 20-1 at Sunbet. I'll just double check that before I put it on. So those are Sean Nicholas's bets there. So concentrating on very much the same markets we are concentrating on. And let's go to Gerard. Gerard, I'm not going to bring yours up. You sent through your bets. I should have mentioned when I asked you to place 10,000 Rands worth of bets, not to do it in denominations of 2 Rand. It took up about 5 reams of email there. But no, just kidding. I see you've got 11 bets. You've got 9,000 Rand bets and then 2 500 Rand bets. Do you want to run through them with us?
Jeez, Brent, I really wanted to cover all the markets, right? So if you can give me another 10K, I'll spend it. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do after the show, I might even do it in between the chats. He's going to put some money down on Richie Mwanga to be the top point scorer. I like what Ian said. I also had him as one of my bets, 10-1. That's just too good a price to ignore, especially if you take in consideration the pool that New Zealand is in. I also have Bowden Barrett as one of the top point scorers at 7.8. That's Betway. It's weird, the decimal there. I also have him in just in case. Who's going to kick? No one knows. So I do cover both of those kickers of New Zealand. And then, yes, I didn't quite catch the price that Sean had for the more than 9 tries. But I also had one for 1K on more than 8.5 tries at 4-1 at WSB. I like that. That I think that might be good value, especially if you got actually take in consideration the group New Zealand is in. I think there might be a good chance for someone to score 9 tries. Last 2 World Cups ended on 8 and 8, so I hope there's going to be one more.
I was just going to say there, Gerard, can we just test Brent on some trivia there? How many times has more than 8 tries been scored by the leading try scorer in the World Cup?
Well, I must say, I can't say for sure, but I know Banner scored about 8 tries when he was there. So I think 8 is around the mark. Just to mention, you got 4-1 over 8.5. So Sean's gone 1 try more at 10, and he's got double the price. He's got 8-1 there. It's very tempting to say, geez, double the price, rather take that. But that 1 try, that is around about, I think virtually every World Cup has ended probably around about the 7-8 try mark for top try scorers. So that's a nice one, Gerard, at 4-1.
Yeah, Brent, that's what I thought. That 1 try normally kicks me out. It's almost like my cricket bets when you go total 6s and the guys finish on 13 instead of 14. Lost one of those last night, so on 1-6. So hey, one can make a difference. And then obviously also Mapimpi, top SA try scorer at 3.5. I took a K on that, and then SA to win a K on that at 4.5. England to win a K on 4.5. Then I also like. I don't know what it is, but I followed Japan the last couple of games. I love the way they play. Their coach is brilliant, and obviously they're used to the conditions, and I think they're going to make the quarters, and I put a K on that at 2.75. I think they can do it. And I think they have the game to do it as well. They showed what they can do against Fiji in Japan. They totally ran them off their feet. And the poor Scots is not going to know what's going to hit them in Japan. I think Japan's going to run it from the first whistle till the last. And I don't know if the Scots can really put up 80 minutes in that weather. That's my. I don't think I've missed one. I had Severis as top try scorer, 1-4. Also okay on that for 2.5 to 1.
Excellent. At 5-2. So I'm just going to quickly run through Henrik's bets before we talk Oracle, and then I'll share mine. So Henrik's he's gone one big bet here, 5,000 Rand. He's gone 4,550 to 5,000 Argentina stage of elimination, pool stage. So he's looking for them to get knocked out. That's 10-11 at Sunbet. He's taken 4,000 to 2,500. That's 16-10. England top 6 nations team at Sunbet. He's taken 6,000 to 1,500. That's 4-1 in Hollywood, Scotland to be eliminated in the group stages. And then he's got 5,500 to 1,000 Corabetti, top Australia's try scorer. So Henrik's gone with a very similar strategy to me there. He's only taken a few bets and climbing in. I'll share mine now in just a minute, but let's just see. Gav, if you had the imaginary 10,000 Rand to spend, unfortunately that's what it is. Where you spreading it?
Yes, Brent, I do. I'm going to call them out now. I just want to comment on a comment I just saw a minute ago. Somebody saying that Handré Pollard was 3-1 to be top scorer for the tournament. Is that information correct? I would have expected him to be a little bit shorter, actually. Going back to what I said earlier, Handré Pollard and Mwanga, for that matter, I'm not going to go for Barrett here. I think Mwanga is going to be the first pick for for the kickers. They'll probably give Barrett a couple of kicks. He'll fail, and Mwanga will be given the boot after that. I'm of the opinion Henry Pollard will win this top point scorer hands down. In fact, it will be a country mile. It won't even be close. I didn't even consider looking at that price. So if that's 3-1, I'm definitely interested. So
Gav, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. I'll just stop you there for a second to tell you that there's 17-4 available at World Sports Betting. So over 4-1 on Pollard to be
3.75. Okay, yeah. No, I tell you straight away. We'll start. You want to take a pen there, Brent? You can write down my 10,000 rand. I'll start with $2,000 on Pollard to be top scorer. That was made in an absolute heartbeat. Seeing Nico's comment there, I think it's absolute value. The guy, South African kickers win Super Rugby top point scorers regularly. In fact, I can't remember last when New Zealand or an Australian won. We just better kickers than them. We get more opportunities. We just take them. I don't know. I like that price. I think it's a great price. And you know what? When you get to the semi-final, there's 2 Oaks that can beat Handré Pollard. You can probably cover with a bit of change. So that's a great bet. Second bet for me, that's $2,000. So I got $8,000 left. I'm putting 4,000 on South Africa, New Zealand in the final at 7-2, 3.5-1. 4,000. That's at $6,000 now. The next 2,000 in South Africa to win the tournament at GG's 5-1. 2,000. That leaves me with 2,000 left. I'm going against Henrik here, and I'm not sure who else said it. This is a bit of a speculative play, but I've got to go. I've got to believe I've got the value here because I'm going against the mugs, against all the population here. I'm going to call my 4 quarterfinalists. Sorry, my 4 group winners. I'm going to go South Africa Group B. I'm going to go Ireland. I think they Group A. I think there's no one else that'll win that group, Group A. And I'm gonna go speculative one here and say Argentina wins the group. I think it's Group C. And the last group, Wales, is absolute certainty. So the certainties for me are Ireland, Wales, and South Africa. And the speculative play here is Argentina. I'm sorry, I don't know what that works out to because I'm only planning to take that bet later next week. But it should be a decent price. Now, I just want to comment on what Henrik had said about Scotland not making it and Japan making it and Argentina not making it. For me, Argentina will make this. Argentina will beat France. So if you're worried about that game, get on Argentina. France will not beat Argentina. It's a bogey team. Never mind that. Argentina have had a fantastic year, and they will beat France. So whatever, you can probably expect about a +5.5, +6.5 in that game. Argentina will win the game. You can take the 16 or 18 or 2-1 or whatever you get is value there. And I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I don't care what the world says. I don't care what anybody says. Japan are not going to beat Scotland. So what any oaks that think out there, sitting out there, think Japan are going to go through and Scotland aren't, you're on crack. You're on the highest price cocaine you can get. Get off it. Scotland will beat Japan. Don't worry about it. There's only one result in that match. Scotland will win that match.
Yeah, as Brendan Vessels there, at least Oracle doesn't sit on the fence, and that you could say again. I'm going to quickly share the screen now, and I will. Let me just go to application window and open up. Where is it now? Gee whiz. Okay, this isn't working. Oh, here we go. The virtual 10K. Oh, no, that's okay. I'll share it in a second. Let me just run through my bets. I don't want to bring up something else on the screen. So I'll run through my bets. Here's my 10,000 spread, guys. My main bet, this one I really like a lot. I'm putting 5,000. That's half of my stake on on the winning hemisphere being the northern hemisphere at 15-10. So that's my big bet of the World Cup. 9,000.
Just not France.
What was that? Sorry.
Just not France, please.
Yeah, I haven't put anything on France. You'll see who I like here. 9,000 to 2,000. England to win at World Sports Betting. I know Johan Lopes is in agreement with me on this one. I think England are the best prepared, and I'm not by much because this is going to be an incredibly close World Cup. I think they'll beat whoever they play in the semis, and I think they're going to go on to win the tournament. Here's a bit of a speculator. It's one I liked a lot quite a while ago. I'm probably not as confident anymore. England against Ireland in the final at 16-1. I'm going to stick $1,000 on that at 16,000 to 1,000, and that leaves me with 2,000 left. And I'm going to take what I do think is an excellent bet. 5,000 to 2,000. Reese, top 4 try scorer at 5-2 and that is at Sunbet. So those are my bets. And guys, yes, we'll put all of the bets down below the show. I'll also stick them on the Rugby World Cup thread on the Good for the Game forum. I'm not sure if I've put a link yet below you. I've certainly got one to the weekly thread, and we can have a look at that. But we'll get all of those bets down, and let's see who comes out best after the tournament. I'd have to say that I'm probably tote favourite.
You got no chance, Brent.
I was waiting for that one, Oracle. But guys, is there anything else? Because we just want to touch on the Mitre 10 Cup, and it's been a great show. We're already 50 minutes in. Anything else you want to mention on the World Cup, Gav?
Yeah, sorry. I just want to say, I know it's a bit of a cliche, and I've gone through it before, and some of the other guys have said it as well. You're getting into a game. Listen, you got 48 games here, so you don't want to get involved in every single game. I know that you're going to want to, and I probably will as well. And even if it's a 50 Rand bet, you're gonna get involved in the games. A lot of them are during the week. You're gonna have your bets before work, and you're gonna go to work, whatever. Don't get sucked into those minuses. If you're unsure, and I mean unsure, like you're only 30% sure a team will beat a handicap, go with a plus. Your default has got to be plus. There will be more plus winners in this tournament than there will be minuses. And I got to tell you, the same applies to total points. Go under. There will be more unders than overs. Bookmakers are trying to smash you. They know you want to go over. They are trying to smash you. Go under or go plus. You will, if you're not sure, go plus or go under. Simple as that.
Gavin, I ran an experiment in the World Cup. I think it was for 2007, and I think I might have done it again in 2011, where I actually sold shirts in every game, I think for 50 Rand a point or something. I didn't want to go because I was a natural buyer, exactly what you say now. I mean, I love buying. And let's face it, when you buy in shirts, for example, on spreads or points, you get the odd game that runs out of control and you make a fortune. But to your point, you lose more than you win in terms of games. And consistency-wise, you're better off going unders. And I can't remember. I must actually see if I can find the results. But going under, I think it was 2007. At a 50 Rand stake, I think I would have made something about 3,000-4,000 Rand or whatever over the tournament. I mean, it was considerably lower than what the bookies had said. So exactly to your point there. And I'll certainly be looking to go unders in this World Cup as well. Couch, anything to close off of the World Cup?
Sorry, Brent.
Oh, yes, Gav?
Before you speak to Han, I'm trying to say one more thing. The guys will remember that watched the 2007 World Cup. New Zealand played Portugal. Excuse me, the handicap was 120. By the time the game started, it was 110. Guys came to me and said, Gavin, what do you like here? I said, it doesn't matter who's playing. Take the plus. And what happened? It was 116-10. They won 100 by 106 or 108, or they won by 98 or whatever it was. But the point is, during that game, Portugal had the ball for 6 minutes. And in that 6 minutes, they scored a try. And that's all it is. It's a time bet. Once you get these massive handicaps, it becomes a time bet. It's not about whether that team will win by whatever points. Of course they will if the game was open-ended. They'll smash them. But you got 80 minutes. And like Brent said, there's scrums, there's bad conditions on the field. There's all things to take into account. It didn't matter to me that I was a Portugal punter that particular day, but I wasn't a Portugal fan or favorite or whatever. It didn't matter to me. They gave me a price that was way too big. And yes, when you go plus on a big spread like that, you sit and sweat. I sweated that entire game. It was torture for 80 minutes, but I won. They won by a country mile. I think it was about 15 or 20 points in the end they won by. But the point is, bookmakers will price up things because they know punters take minuses. They know the people remember the 145-17, the 4th of June, 1995, and they remember South Africa winning by 100 points to Namibia, 100 points to 0 or whatever it is, or that 101 in Cape Town or Port Elizabeth whenever we played Italy in 1999. Those days are over. Those scores will not happen again. Go plus and go under. And I promise you'll thank me at the end of the tournament.
I know when I'm an unders player, the guys who are WhatsApp will know that I always got to say 10 quiet minutes. And quite often, if you go unders, for example, there's a try early on and you start panicking. All you need quite often is 10 quiet minutes without anything happening. And you suddenly do the maths and you times the game by however many times and you say, I'm right back on track again. Couch, anything to finish off on the World Cup for you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm a point a minute kind of guy. I try and let that equation, try and get out when I'm a seller, and that's always, when you see a first try and a second try, I think, geez, I need 15 minutes of quiet instead of 5. So that's the problem, and those teams like New Zealand who go bang bang, that's the worst case, straight off a kickoff, that hurts. And I was just gonna say, I think Brent, to this day, you've got a bias against forwards since all that shirt buys. I remember you hating those props going over for tries, eh?
Yeah, I kept
Listen,
no reserve props. I didn't mind.
no, then it'd be fine. Listen, the big question, I was seeing someone there on the yellow cards and the red cards, and I think that'll actually also be a pretty decent market if that came up. I don't have any stats to back it up, but I'm pretty sure that either I don't necessarily, maybe the rules a little bit, but the interpretation of the rules are much more strict lately. I mean, we saw at this under-20 World Cup, it was almost like a shambles at how many guys were sent off, and if the TV refs involved and them wanting to play a role and having to play a role and all that, I think we're going to see cards, by the bucket loads. It's going to be way more than we've seen previously. And that is going to affect things. I'm not sure necessarily points in that thing because that's the same as Oracle says, it almost goes the other way when you got a one-man advantage. Things almost peter out a little bit because the results almost in the bag. But maybe if there was a market specifically for cards, that would be interesting. So maybe that's something that Gavin can also talk on or someone, but that would be actually quite a nice market. And then I just want to say I agree with Gavin. I mean, given the conditions, definitely when in doubt, go low or sell points or whatever it is. I think, as you've said as well, Brent, on numerous occasions, it won't be as high scoring. My golden rule is usually sell or go low on anyone except New Zealand. There you can just rather stay out because I just hate betting against them scoring tries.
Excellent. Yeah, I know there are card markets on the spread firms already. Gavin, sorry, before we go to Gerard to finish us off also with a bit of Mitre 10 Cup, you put your hand up there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that these rules with the yellow cards and the red cards and the bonus points being 4 and not beating teams by 3, I think we got to be very careful here. Eh? These games could be a lot lower scoring than we're expecting them to be. I don't know. I'm scared. Eh? I know Henrik had a go at me. Not had a go. He made a comment last week about Japan smashing Russia by more than the 35. I see that handicap's up to 39. I got to tell you, I don't even know. I can't pronounce a Russian name. I can't write in their language. But plus 39 is starting to tell me it's too big. And I know that Japan obviously can beat them by more, and Italy beat them by more. But I tell you that those Russians are fixing you. They could be selling this, making their team look like absolute rubbish, climbing up to plus 39 and losing by 25 and high-fiving each other after the game. I don't know. I'm very scared to take a minus in that Japan game. I've got to tell you. I don't know. Just be very careful going over and high on anything. That's all I can say.
Right, to sum up there, be careful about those Russians. Right, Gerard, finishes off any last World Cup comments and then maybe run straight into Mitre 10 Cup. We won't spend too much time on it, but just if you have any bets for us this weekend in the Mitre 10.
Gav, there's only Russian spies in the US game. The rest should be fine. But yeah,
Japan's a neighbor, Gerard. Japan's their neighbor.
The other thing is obviously that you need to take in consideration. I know Henrik is the guy that really likes that a lot. Just remember that there's a lot of French referees in this World Cup. They love the sound of their own whistle. So you will get the guy that's going to rather not play too long advantage and rather go back to penalties than to actually give it 4 or 5 phases. Just remember that. Just have a look at the rest as well in the games. And then, furthermore, if we can jump to Mitre 10 Cup, and maybe just prior to that, I would like to have a half a minute just to rave a bit, and then I'll be over it. I had a big go on Cheetah's points in the final, over 32 and a half. On halftime, 31-7, I actually had this massive grin. We had a lack of braai going, some brandies going. I thought, yes, easy money. This is the most easiest thing I've had in a long time. Maxed onto that bet, great time, and lo and behold, I actually watched the rest of the game, and I could not believe what unfolded in front of me. And after the game, I just had that reminiscence of Kenny Rogers, the gambler, that you never count your money when you're sitting at the table, because I already started loading up on my Sunday Mitre 10 Cup bet. I'm like, I'll take this and I'll take this. Yeah, so maybe just remember that as well. Anything can happen. But yeah,
100%. Gerard, you're 100% right. It's so many times guys are sitting. Never mind sitting on 30 on 31. You're sitting on a minus 30 handicap, and the score, and they're winning by 40, and you think you're super safe. Take the plus, even if it's plus 59. Take it, because those games end up on 28s and 27s, and then you go, but at halftime I was winning. No. Listen, everybody that's watching right now, listen to what Gerard just said. 100% right.
I like it.
I've got to say, guys, you can read my Citizen article this week. I was on Cheetahs minus 6.5. So that was what I wrote. It's on the Good for the Game website. You can have a read of that. Also, guys, please subscribe to our newsletter. It's free. It goes out on a Friday. We'll share our best bets from the show and obviously link to a couple of things. There is a subscription link down below the show. Gerard, take us through the Mitre 10 Cup.
Right, quickly, Northland, Canterbury tomorrow morning. Canterbury picked a pretty strong team. It's a big handicap, but Northland is terrible. And Canterbury's finding some form, so minus 22.5. Hate the fly off, hate the scrum off that they picked, but let's see. Then Counties, Auckland, minus 6.5. I like Auckland here. Counties terrible at home. And Auckland actually picked a pretty proper team. Akere only back at 8th man. And then Wellington versus Otago plus 11.5. Like the team, like Otago, they're on a high, just winning around Ferry Shield. No one gave them a chance against Taranaki, myself included. And they came up trumps there. Just bear in mind, next week they're playing North Harbour away from home. And I think they will rest a couple of players, because the 2 weeks after that, they are defending the Shield in back-to-back games against Waikato and Canterbury. So next week, just be mindful of that. Just check the handicap next week. Yeah, Northland is also not very great, but I think Otago will rest all their big players for that Waikato Shield game. And then obviously the favorite every week, Tasman, minus 21.5 at home against North Harbour. Tasman by far the best team in this competition, and I wouldn't put it out there, but they should win this comfortably.
Excellent, Gerard. Thanks very much. Let's go to the other two guys for a final word. Anything on the Mitre 10 Cup there, Couch? Are you having a bit of a weekend off watching the Vuelta?
Yeah, I think everything that we thought we knew kind of went to shit last weekend on the Mitre 10. It was a horrid weekend. So, and actually, the weird thing is, it's like somehow this week's games is almost those teams that you're not sure about up against each other. So it's kind of just, you don't really know where you're at. So there's definitely nothing big for me. I mean, Canterbury hurt the guys last weekend, and thankfully I stayed away. Auckland has hurt me plenty of times, so I'm not going to go there. But I would go just a little double on a smaller Canterbury minus and a smaller Tasman minus. That shorter Tasman minus has held me in great stead thus for the last 3 or 4 weekends. I've just loved involving them in some multiples. So that's the only way I'm going. And you know, it's tougher games by plenty, and those kind of guys are getting challenged a bit more. So it's tough. But I do like, I'll probably go for higher Otago plus there as well, because I mean, those wingers are fantastic. So I'll get a few tries and stay in the game for sure.
Yeah, I have to. Sorry, Ben. I have to add that it's not going to be big plays this week. Next week is the start of the real thing for the year. So it's not big plays this week.
Yeah, we take it easy this week. Carter, we'll also see you Monday night show, Use It or Lose It. We're going to look at Group C and D in some detail and any other topics of discussion that come up on the weekend. So that's Monday night, 9 o'clock, guys. Join us live for that one. And let's give the final word to Oracle Rugby. Oracle, thanks for coming on the show. And what have you got to send us off with?
Yeah, Brent, listen, I'm going to tell people what I told them last week. Put your money back in your wallet. I just heard Gerard and Han giving you some Mitre 10 Cup. If you're going to play with 10% of your money. Put the rest in your wallet. The World Cup starts next week. That's where the real money is. Don't get too involved this weekend. As with last weekend, don't get too involved. You're going to cry because payday's after the first weekend of the Rugby World Cup. So put your money in your wallet. Save it for next Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I promise you'll thank me.
Excellent, Gavin. Thanks very much. Thanks also to all the guys in the live chat. Always love having your contributions. Nice to get guys coming in from all over the world as well. We'll certainly look to try and get a few guests on from the Northern Hemisphere and also from the likes of New Zealand and Australia. And in fact, for any of you guys watching from the North or from New Zealand, Australia that would like to be guests, perhaps on occasions during the World Cup, just let me know and we can certainly make a plan. Guys, thanks very much. It's been great chatting to you. Lots of rugby. We're going to warm up. Like Gavin says, I'm going to keep stakes very low this weekend. A little bit of Volta España cycling, and then I'll be ready to fire come World Cup. We'll see you Monday night for Use It or Lose It.